Imagine this: 28 years of marriage, a graduation dinner, family, friends, champagne glasses raised in celebration. And then, in front of everyone, your husband announces he's leaving you. Most people would break, cry, collapse, but not me. I didn't fall apart. I smiled. And what happened next changed everything. At our daughter's graduation dinner, my husband chose to announce his betrayal. 28 years of marriage discarded between the soup and the main course. Everyone waited for me to break. But betrayal doesn't always bring collapse. Sometimes it brings clarity. And that night, clarity was on my side. The restaurant went silent. Champagne glasses hovered mid-air. Knives paused above porcelain plates. Even the soft hum of the air conditioning seemed to vanish. I felt 50 pairs of eyes pressing against me, heavy, expectant. They wanted spectacle. They wanted a woman scorned. Tears, anger, the storm. But I only smoothed the fabric of my dress and smiled. "Congratulations on your honesty," I said, my voice steady. In that moment, I became a stranger to myself. For 28 years, I had been the devoted wife, the one who sacrificed her career so her husband could chase dreams, the one who managed the bills when the ventures failed, the one who smiled through the endless finding himself phases. That night, under the glow of chandeliers and the weight of betrayal, I let her go. I turned to my daughter, my brilliant Amelia, still in her cap from the ceremony, and kissed her cheek. "This day is still about you," I whispered. She was pale, frozen, the world she knew cracking in two. Then, with calm precision, I placed a cream-colored envelope beside Gregory's plate. His glass trembled. His eyes flicked from me to the envelope and back. "What is this?" he asked, voice strained. "Something for you to read later," I replied. I rose, lifted my chin, and addressed the guests. "Please enjoy your meal. I wish you all a lovely afternoon." And with that, I walked out. No tears, no scene. Just the sound of my heels against the marble floor, and the sudden breath of freedom waiting beyond the heavy restaurant doors. The air outside was sharp and alive. I had walked out of a marriage, out of a life, and yet I didn't stumble. I stood on the sidewalk, my hands steady, my breath calm. Freedom has a strange taste when it first touches your lips, bitter with shock, sweet with possibility. I hailed a cab, slid inside, and watched the city pass in blurred streaks of light. The streets had a rhythm that night, one I hadn't noticed in years. Couples rushing across crosswalks, a man holding flowers, a girl laughing into her phone. Life pulsed on, indifferent to my private revolution. When I reached home, the envelope was already on Gregory's desk. I had slipped it there weeks ago, waiting for the day he would make his move. Inside was everything he had underestimated me for: photographs, bank statements, quiet truths gathered piece by piece while he thought I was too busy folding laundry to notice. The house smelled faintly of cedar polish and roses, Amelia's bouquet from the ceremony. I sat on the edge of the sofa and waited, my hands folded in my lap. The clock ticked, slow and deliberate. When he finally stormed through the door, red-faced from whispers and embarrassment, I was ready. "You humiliated me," he spat, tossing his jacket onto the couch. I looked at him the way you look at a stranger who's overstayed his welcome. "No, Gregory," I said softly. "You humiliated yourself. I just refused to play along." He tore open the envelope. Page after page, his secret life unfolded. Hotel receipts, messages, even a bank transfer he thought I wouldn't see. His face shifted from fury to fear, then to something smaller, deflated. "How long have you known?" he whispered. "Long enough," I replied. For years, I had been the background character in his story, the quiet supporter who kept the house standing while he lived as though he were the hero. But betrayal has a way of rewriting roles, and in that moment, under the dim lamp of our living room, I wasn't the supporting character anymore. I didn't shout. I didn't cry. I gave him a choice. "You will leave this house with what you came with," I said. "The rest stays with me, and you will not touch Amelia with your excuses or your guilt. She is mine to protect." He laughed, short, bitter, the laugh of a man who no longer holds the script. "You think you're strong enough to do this alone?" I looked at him, really looked, and for the first time in nearly 3 decades, I saw him for what he was. Ordinary. "Gregory," I said, "I've been doing it alone for years. You were just too self-absorbed to notice." The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was heavy, final. The kind of silence that comes when a door slams inside your soul and you realize it won't open again. The next morning, his side of the closet was bare. Suits gone, cufflinks, polished shoes, ties I used to iron for him, all vanished like a shadow at sunrise. The house felt different. The silence wasn't sharp anymore. It was soft, like a room finally exhaling after holding its breath for too long. I made coffee the way I liked it, strong, black, no compromise. And for the first time in years, I drank it hot, not lukewarm between chores and arguments. Amelia sat across from me, her eyes red, her hands trembling. She didn't ask questions, just searched my face for some sign that the world wasn't ending. "Are you okay, Mom?" she whispered. I reached across the table, held her hand, and smiled. "I'm better than okay. I'm free." In the days that followed, I discovered the strange, delicate joy of rebuilding. I painted the bedroom a soft shade of green, the color of renewal. I opened the windows, let the sunlight flood places that had long been dark. I filled the rooms with music, old records I used to love, silenced for years beneath his disdain. I took long walks. I cooked meals with flavors he never liked but I adored. Ginger, lemon, rosemary. I laughed more. I listened when Amelia spoke, really listened, without one ear bent toward the footsteps of a man who rarely came home satisfied. And slowly, I began to see myself again. Not as a wife, not as the keeper of his lies, but as a woman who had survived the collapse of a life and chosen to rise from its dust. There were nights I cried, yes. Nights when the bed felt too wide, when the weight of betrayal pressed heavy on my chest. But even in those moments, I knew the tears weren't weakness. They were cleansing. They were proof that I was still alive, still moving forward. Weeks passed. One evening, I stood before the mirror. For years, I had avoided my own reflection, afraid of the tired eyes, the lines of sacrifice etched into my skin. But that night, I looked, and I saw something unexpected. Strength. A woman who had walked through fire and come out whole. Gregory had once believed I couldn't exist without him. But here I was, not just existing, thriving. Not with rage, not with revenge shouted from rooftops, but with a quiet, unshakable truth. He had underestimated me, and in doing so, he had set me free. I began to write again, small journal entries at first. Thoughts, fragments, memories I wanted to reclaim. My words, my voice, after years of silence. Each sentence was a step back toward myself. And so, when people ask me about betrayal, about the night my marriage ended in front of 50 pairs of eyes, I tell them this. Sometimes, destruction is the beginning. Sometimes the worst day of your life hands you the key to the door you were meant to walk through all along. That night at the restaurant, everyone waited for me to fall apart. Instead, I began.